Coming up, it wasn't a winter wallop, but Bridgewater felt the chill in its first winter storm of the season. Parking in town becomes a bit pricier for some. The town we live in has been deemed one of the safest communities in the country. Plus, a Trojan becomes a Ram. We'll have these stories and more coming up on the Bridgewater Review.
Welcome to this edition of the program. I'm Mary Evers.
And I'm John Luck.
Bridgewater was impacted by its first winter storm. The system came in starting on Saturday, January 19th, and had impacts that lasted through the MLK extended weekend. Only 4 inches of snow fell in Bridgewater, but that quickly changed terrain, which dumped another 3 inches of water into the snow, making it very difficult to move. But it had to be moved quickly before it turned into ice. And on January 21st, here at the BTV studio, we dropped to a temperature of 1 degree.
Certainly made walking a little bit difficult for everybody. For a full recap of the storm, we send it over to Jeff Fowler. We had very little snow, not just from the storm, but throughout most of this winter so far. So we're going to continue to see this trend getting warm storms?
John, the affectionate group known as the Snow Weenies have been getting a bit testy this week, and their frustrations will most likely grow as the bare ground will soon be accompanied by some brutally cold air that is on the way from Canada. Now, you may remember hearing about the polar vortex a few years back, and that winter staple is on the move again as it temporarily gets displaced, and some of its effects will cross our area by the middle of this upcoming week. Now, the core of this coldest air will be confined to the Great Lakes and perhaps northernmost New England, where temperatures will remain 20 to 40 degrees below normal. Here in Bridgewater, we'll make more like 10 to 20 degrees below normal, and these are air temperatures that we are talking about. Wind chills will be, of course, even colder. We can see this depicted nicely by the National Weather Service, who expects this cold pattern to last right on into the first week of February, where we will remain colder than normal through at least February 1st or 2nd. Then some of the brutal air will start to pull out, and as we look deeper into the month, we will continue to see cold shots, albeit a bit modified, and overall we are expecting relatively dry conditions. Now, there may be a couple of opportunities to sneak in some snow. The first area will be approaching us this week on Tuesday. If you're watching this broadcast, it's probably today, where we see a primary low moving across the Great Lakes. Now, models have been suggesting that the system may redevelop just south of New England, almost similar to an Alberta Clipper scenario. If this were to happen, we could squeeze out a few inches of snow. However, as we're looking at this system develop, I think this will be maybe more of a cold frontal passage with some warmer air moving out ahead of the system. So I think we're looking at a snow-rain mixture here for southern New England, with several more inches off to our north and west, which has been generally the pattern that we've had throughout this winter. Of course, right here in Bridgewater, we've been primarily in the snow hole, as we call it, and that phenomenon may continue. We also have to watch as this cold air pulls out of the area towards next weekend, which will be Super Bowl weekend. As the vortex starts to shift back towards the North Pole, sometimes when that deep air pulls north, it can pull some moisture or a storm system along with it. So we'll monitor the models as we go into the end of the week and see if that happens. But again, the chances are that we will probably stay on the colder, drier scenario. Finally, anytime you have this deep cold air in place, we do have to keep an eye on the wind direction and monitor any ocean effect snow that can occasionally creep into Plymouth County. Some of that may happen again on Tuesday. So we're looking for some snow opportunities, but I think that overall the next few weeks here will continue more of the same. A lot of cold air behind storm systems, and anytime we do get those fronts approaching our area, some warmer air moving up from the south. So if you are a snow weenie, this is probably not the best story for you, but keep in mind we still have at least 6 more weeks of winter. You can continue to follow our summaries and forecasts on btvaccess.com and also on our Facebook page. For now, I'm Jeff Fowler. Back to you.
To park in some areas in town is going to cost residents. The town installed 3 parking meters around the center that began business on January 14th to help the parking situation around the common and even free up some other parking spaces at local area businesses. LAZ is the vendor that is operating the paid parking program, and they had representatives at the different kiosks to help with any issues. The location of the kiosk is on School Street in Central Square next to the CVS parking lot and on Spring Street next to the college parking lot. Each location has a different hourly rate. So to park on School Street, that's going to cost $1 an hour, while in the Central Square lot, that's going to cost 75 cents an hour. and to park in the Spring Street parking lot, it's going to set you back 50 cents an hour. Paid parking will be in effect Monday through Saturday from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Bridgewater Police will be enforcing the program and ticketing for noncompliance. To park, you have to either pay with a credit card or through the Passport parking app. It's free to download, and you can refill your account through your phone to extend your parking time. The Passport parking app is available in the App Store or through Google Play.
A Bridgewater woman was arrested the morning of January 10th after leading an Abington police officer on a low-speed chase on Route 18. According to the Enterprise, 36-year-old Jessica Davis hit an SUV in Abington in front of a police officer, Justin Malcuso. And when he tried to approach her, Davis took off on Route 18. She got all the way to South Shore Hospital before Massachusetts State Police stopped her. However, the story doesn't stop there. According to Officer Malcuso, when he went to Davis's door and asked her to step out of her vehicle, she refused, claiming sovereign nation status because she did not recognize Massachusetts law or the authority of the police. Since her arrest, Davis and her lawyer have stated that this report was false and that she never claimed that. Davis is set to appear in Brockton District Court in February.
A 44-year-old Bridgewater man was taken into custody after detectives launched a month-long investigation into claims that he was selling fentanyl and other narcotics in Bridgewater and other surrounding communities. John Bagley was officially charged with possession with intent to distribute a Class A substance and possession of a Class B substance. Area detectives executed the warrant at Bagley's home on North Street and what officials are calling his place of business on South Main Street in West Bridgewater. When police entered Bagley's home, they found multiple pills, scales, multiple cell phones, drug packaging materials, and approximately $3,000. Now, this isn't the first time officials have dealt with this man, as Bagley was arrested last year for selling Percocet pills. After posting the $1,000 bail, the Bridgewater resident pled not guilty in Brockton District Court and will be due back in the courtroom coming up later on in January.
A Bridgewater State University student is under investigation after sending racist messages to a student at Framingham State University during the recent holiday break. 19-year-old Elizabeth Philippi received messages on the social dating app Tinder from a student whose name we are not releasing, but he is a student at BSU. In the message, the male student uses racial slurs while telling her to go back to Africa, where she belongs. Elizabeth's sister, Marjorie Phillips, posted a freeze frame of this conversation on Twitter, and as you can see, tags Bridgewater State in the post. The university and campus police are investigating the situation, meaning comments are limited. On the Bridgewater State website, there is a section of BSU values. Part of it states that the university rejects all forms of bias, discrimination, and that they are recommitted to their actions to put into practice individual and institutional values of diversity, inclusion, and equality for all. Again, the investigation is still ongoing.
Bridgewater Police are struggling to find candidates to hire as officers, so Police Chief Chris Del Monte is looking to start a police cadet program. This is still in the planning process and will still have to get approved at different government levels, but the department will be looking for applicants between the ages of 18 and 23. Shifts will be during the day or night, Monday through Friday, and would last for just 1 year with the possibility of being extended.
Chief Del Monte tells the Independent paper that cadets would serve as administrative staff supporting 911 calls, answering phone calls, licensing, and more. The time served as a cadet will go towards the cadet civil service exams, which are needed to become police officers. With approval from the town council, the hope for the program is to start hiring 2 cadets by the spring.
We're only in the first month of the year, but both the BR School District and the town of Bridgewater have begun looking forward to the summertime as they make the FY20 budget, and the process started at the Academy Building. Although there are no numbers or projections exchanged, there were some guidelines shared. First, the town manager, Michael Dutton, said that the town was going to avoid some budgetary practices that were used in years past. Looking at recurring costs and making sure those costs are funded by recurring revenue. And although the FY20 budget process has started, the town manager is looking toward future budget cycles, and when the town is in a successful position to do so, maintain an unreserved fund balance and maintain a stabilization fund in case of a down cycle. Bridgewater-Rainham Superintendent Derek Swinson was at the meeting along with members of the BR School Committee, and for the district, the budget process actually started back in October, with principals, directors, managers, and department heads giving their staffing requests and operational budget requests for their respective departments and schools. After that's done, the superintendent went through those requests and separated the needs versus wishes. Mr. Swinson pointed out that both Bridgewater and Rainham are growing in student numbers, with 250 students registering district-wide since this past summer. He also said the district is expecting growth in student numbers in grades K through 4. Cost drivers for the FY20 budget cycle include operational and staffing needs and potentially replacing a snowplow.
And we know that we have the supports of the town and folks like you who are sitting here today that are giving us an ear to allow us to let you know some of the concerns we have, and working, continuing to work together with the town of Rainham as well to make sure that we have budgets that, again, the towns can handle, but then are also first and foremost servicing the needs of our students and staff.
Like the town, the district is already looking forward to the FY21 budget, citing potential hopes including Chromebooks for students in the district. There's nothing imminent, but just a future talking point. Other future plans for the district budget include potentially hiring a teacher or another position if there is any free cash available, and looking for energy and heating grants from Columbia Gas and National Grid to help save the district money. The superintendent will present his preliminary budget to the BR School Committee. We'll have that for you on Bridgewater Now on our social media pages and btvaccess.com. We may be talking about snowy weather and low temperatures this time of the year, but the first month of the year also means it's time for the election process here in town to begin. Residents that want to run for a nomination in April can pick up their nomination papers in the town clerk's office until March 7th. To be nominated to a town-wide election, potential nominees need a minimum of 150 signatures, while for a precinct election, there is just 100 signatures needed to appear on the ballot. The election is set to take place on April 27th.
There are 3 seats available on the town council. Districts 4 and 7 and an at-large council seat are up for grabs, while both a seat on Bridgewater and Rainham on the BR School Committee are also on the ballot, along with 3 vacancies for the public library trustees. Bridgewater residents can feel better about the town they live in, as a recent blog rated our town as the 87th safest in the country. The website neighborhoodscout.com made a list of the safest communities based on research that involved violent crimes per 1,000 residents, population, and the total number of crimes reported in each city and town. Bridgewater is one of 19 communities in Massachusetts on a list that includes Marshfield, Needham, North Andover, Milton, and more. You can see the full list at the website on the bottom of your screen. Still to come here on the Bridgewater Review, a BR Trojan football player signs to play with the Rams.
And we are at the height of flu season, which can obviously have effects on your health, but complications could have even more harmful effects on you. We'll have more after this.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you get stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please.
Don't quit on me. Okay. But remember, it's not what you say. It's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Welcome back as we go around the regional, and we'd like to congratulate January's Students of the Month at BMS. Brandon Woods, Daniel Turner, Lily Davis, Collie Blundell, David Hurlich, and Eva Paragas were recognized for their academic achievements as well as positive school citizenship.
Congrats to those students, and remember, we'd love to hear what's going on at your school or with your student. You can reach us at the studio. You can feel free to email jluck@btvaccess.com. One Bridgewater State University student had her appearance on the popular daytime show Ellen go viral. Giovanna Giorgio was called up to play host Ellen DeGeneres' new game Holy Roller, where the contestant rolls the ball through a very tiny open for a $3,000 prize. To give an example of how it's done, Ellen showed Giovanna.
Look how easy it is. Oh my God.
Easy as that, right? Well, the BSU junior took her shot and came up just a little outside, but certainly not a bad way to spend your winter break. Giovanna said just the experience of being able to see the show, never mind being on it, meant so much more to her than winning the game.
Bridgewater Savings Bank and its charitable foundation announced a big donation to local food banks. During the month of December, the bank collected non-perishable food items to distribute at food banks around eastern Massachusetts, which is expected to help feed over 200 families. This came after the social media effort the bank launched, donating $5 for every like through a 1-month period. Efforts with this added up to a total donation of $3,850, resulting in a $350 donation to 11 food pantries, including the food pantry here in Bridgewater.
The number of flu cases has seen a sharp increase recently, and according to doctors and officials at the Centers for Disease Control, this is a trend that could last for a while. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health says the case trends are comparable to a year ago, and we are expected to continue at a higher level through March. As of January 18th, here in the Bay State, 3% of patients had either the flu or flu-like symptoms. Compare that to last year around this time, which was just under 3%, and that figure from 2018 actually spiked to around 6% before it started to trend downward in February. In December of 2018, the CDC reports that 166.6 million flu shots were distributed, which is more than a year ago.
Obviously startling numbers there from a virus that can take a lot out of you. However, many people have conditions that they live with day to day, but when those conditions and the flu interact with each other, there could be larger problems. According to the CDC, the flu virus is now widespread in 30 states and has impacted between 6 and 7 million people this season. According to Cleveland Clinic's Dr. Susan Rem, there are certain risk factors that can make it more likely for someone to develop complications from the flu, like age.
Up to 5 years of age, the complication rate and the hospitalization rate is higher. As a matter of fact, last year, 180 children died of influenza, and 80% of those children had not been vaccinated.
According to a recent report, less than a quarter of U.S. adults are aware that having certain chronic health conditions can make a person more likely to develop complications from the flu. Conditions such as asthma, heart disease, diabetes, kidney or liver disorders, and obesity are among some of the most prevalent chronic conditions that can impact a person's risk for flu complications. Dr. Rem says that pregnant women are also at high risk for complications from the flu, which is why the CDC recommends that pregnant women receive a flu vaccination. She says that research shows that having the flu can even increase a person's risk for heart attack. One of the most common worrisome complications from the flu is pneumonia, which is especially dangerous for very young and the elderly.
A secondary bacterial infection is a feared complication of influenza. And in those cases, people often are beginning to feel better after their initial illness, and then they develop a fever, shortness of breath, a cough, that type of thing that is different, and that is a sign to seek medical attention.
Dr. Rum says the most important thing we can do to protect ourselves against the flu is to get our annual flu shot. She says if you have an allergy to egg, you may still be able to get vaccinated, so it's important to talk to your doctor.
We all have our New Year's resolutions. For some, it's to use their cell phones less. A survey conducted by an online company, Loop Ventures, asked 500 smartphone users between the ages of 18 and 60 about their phone usage. In that survey, 42% said they use screen time tools, while 12% said they were uncomfortable with the time that they spent on their devices. With the new year here, the 500 people were asked if they would change their habits in the new year, and only a quarter of them said they expect to use their phone less. Maybe a surprising number, 34% of those surveyed between the ages of 18 and 29 say they want to spend less time on their devices. There are some tips if you'd like to start cutting back on social media usage on your phone. First, some phones actually have settings that let you know it may be time to put it down for a little while. There's also third-party apps to help control usage like Moment or Flipped. Or some people have already cut social media usage from their lives, and so it may be best to actually ask them for advice.
On BTV and BTVAccess.com, you can watch this program or other locally produced programming like the Bridgewater Now Updates or Weather with Jeff Fowler, but we have more programming as well on demand. At the Senior Center, there was a presentation on the Mitchell School which provided updates on the project and the tentative building options for the school. That January 10th presentation is available in full on BTVAccess.com.
The sports team is certainly showing up on our website as Brian Barr and Skip Crossman provided coverage of the undefeated BR girls basketball team. Dominic Damiano covers the BP basketball teams and Bridgewater Rainham hockey, including their 50-year anniversary. Bridgewater State's basketball team started off slowly but continued to climb for the playoffs, and you can watch that and all the sports along with other locally produced programming on btvaccess.com.
You can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and you can subscribe to our YouTube page. Just search BTV Access Corporation and click on the subscribe button in the corner of your screen.
You can also see some older shows as well. Back when we had Bridgewater This Week, you can see programming like that, or other things like Frankenstone.
Out of Bounds.
Yep. I remember that video you showed us at the Year in Review when you
Yes.
showed us all the programming that apparently broke.
Right, yep. Sorry about that, by the way.
That's-
I am not, however, sorry to the Frankenstone group at all.
Okay, well, anyways, coming up, the Bridgewater Rainham girls basketball team is winning by margins that resemble a Golden State Warriors game. Could they keep their undefeated season intact? Brian Barrard has the answer to that and more from the local sports scene in 60 seconds.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it,
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got, or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
How long have we been married, dear?
For 76 years.
He was kind and generous to me before we married, and he was kind and generous to me all these years that we have been married. We decided on Meals on Wheels because at my age, I was getting to the point where I couldn't do all the things that I had been able to do.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Welcome back to the Bridgewater Review. As John and Mary promised, here's your sports recap. He was one of the best receivers and blockers in BR football had in a long time, and now one Trojan is signing on to play with the Rams. No, not the Los Angeles Rams that our beloved New England Patriots are taking on in the Super Bowl, but rather the Fordham Rams. Jeff Ciccio signed his national letter of intent in front of family and teammates in the guidance office earlier in January, and this was a spot he never imagined he'd be in.
Well, when I was younger, I was always playing with the older kids because I missed the cutoff, but I never really saw myself where I am today. I always thought I was just going to quit football because I didn't really love it back then. Then I met these guys, and I just absolutely loved it. I put my hard work into it, and now I'm here where I am. So I couldn't be where I am without them, without Coach, without my parents. I love it.
As you may know, the Fordham Rams play in the Patriot League, and so doesn't Holy Cross, the alma mater of BR football head coach and AD Dan Buron. I'm sure there's going to be a little trash talking there, just a little bit. Now, stop me if you've heard this before, but the BR girls basketball team wins yet again. No? No one? Okay. Yes, the Lady Trojans are now on a 26-game regular season winning streak. BTV had the pleasure of covering the Trojans matchup with the Boxers on the 18th at Monty Gymnasium, which saw the Trojans double up the Boxers 68-34. Freshman sensation Shea Bolin had a career-high 28 points, while sophomore Kenzie Matalanis had 16, which is double her average. BR followed up that win with a win over Whitman Hanson and another win over Durfee. The Trojans' next game will be on the road in the Staff Gymnasium in Brockton. The BR boys basketball team snuck its way into the Boston Herald's top 25 recently. In their last game against Westwood, BR got the tough 64-62 road win. Jaden Rosario had led the team with 19 points, while Connor Rubenskas had 18. The boys have won 5 of their last 6 and will take on Brockton at home on Tuesday. Now, even though the BSU basketball season didn't get off to the most blazing of starts, both teams are still in the run for hosting a MASCAC tournament game. The men's team is 1 game back of third and only 2 games back of second place, and the women's game is only 2 games back of second place as well. A weak year in the MASCAC could mean a potential back-to-back title for men and another women's title, but just a potential. Not saying this is going to happen. But that's all we have for sports. John and Mary?
At the Bridgewater Senior Center, the AAUW will be holding a knit-in for scholarships on February 9th from 1 to 5 p.m. If it gets snowed out, the events would then be moved to February 23rd. For just a $10 donation, crafters will be able to make a 7x9-inch block which will be assembled into Afghans, which will be donated to a local charity. This is a fundraiser for local college scholarships and is sponsored by the American Association of University Women, a nonprofit organization advancing equality for women and girls through advocacy, education, philanthropy, and research. Additional information about the AAUW can be found on their website at www.aauw.org. For more information about the knit-in, you can call 508-697-6653.
We all know about DNA tests and what they can do, but Richard Reed is hosting a presentation at the library on February 5th at 6:30 showing how you can get the most from your results. Throughout the presentation, Richard will use examples from his family tree and show you how you can expand, verify, and document your own family tree. The event is free and open to the public, again coming up on February 5th at 6:30 in the library.
Definitely something to be checked out. That's all for this episode of this program.
In the meantime, you can watch original BTV programming and sports on btvaccess.com or on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter with the usernames that you see on your screen. I'm John Luck.
And I'm Mary Evers. Thanks for watching.